Everyone, it's Aaron from Got a Minute, and this is Brother Evan. Uh, how you doing, Evan?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Evan sent me some information this morning about a 4.8 earthquake out in California and a 4.8 earthquake in, I guess that's New Jersey. I got to
New
retitle the
Jersey,
video. Yeah,
technically,
New
yes.
Jersey, New York, similar area, but yeah, it's in Lebanon, New Jersey. I'll edit the title of this video shortly, but which is really interesting. So, I mean, here we are 3 days before April 8th, and we have a 4.8 out in California and a 4.8 in New Jersey. So we got a 4.8 West Coast, 4.8 on the East Coast, 3 days before the 4.8 eclipse. Is this a 3-day warning? Uh, the the Statue of Liberty was struck by lightning the other day as well.
Yeah.
Is God talking to us? Is He communicating to us? Wow! And it's Evan had said that an earthquake is very rare in the New York area because of the fault lines. And when I was talking with Brother Michael, showing me some tectonic plates about half an hour ago. And so, what do you think about all this, Evan? And yeah, share with us your thoughts on this.
Well, I just personally, I think it's too coincidental to be coincidence. There's too much about it to be just coincidence. First of all, they're perfectly almost opposite sides of the country from each other. They were both 4.8s earthquakes, and if you drill in on the photos of right around the center where these earthquakes were, if you look at the cities around them, a major coincidence is both of them have Chester at the top right hand corner. You can see Chester in both of them. Now, what is he trying to tell us with that? So I started looking up. I was going into the meanings, trying to look up the meanings of these words. And what I'm finding is with, all right, well, particularly the word Chester itself means to encamp or fortress of encampment of soldiers. That's what the word Chester means. If you look it up, and a couple of different meanings for it, but it means to encamp or fortress. And that was the one that was at the top right. That's in both pictures. It's in both. And then the next one was Caliphon. I looked it up to see what that word meant, and of course, it means California or Californication, or it's got a lot of different meanings. But Caliphon in itself means to heat, to make hot, or hot water. Another one of the cities was Sterling. Now that word sterling means high quality or pure.
I figured I would put the map on, and we could still hear you, Evan.
Okay.
And what was it was in? Oh, of course, it was in Lebanon. It was in Lebanon. So let me actually get that up on
Well,
the.
it's right near Lebanon. I
Oh,
went in New York.
okay. Lebanon, New Jersey is where this 4.8 earthquake was. Is that right? So right there. Okay. I don't know if you can see it with your phone. Can you see what I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead and share what you were saying there. I'm sorry to distract you.
Well, that's okay. So the word Lebanon, when I looked it up, just meant whiteness, purged or cleansed. And then the word maglia, that word means pure. It also means a ruthless character, carefully weighed your decisions in critical situations. To carefully weigh your decisions in critical situations. So, yeah, weigh our decisions.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about also reading Psalm 29 because Christie's talked about this a bunch. So maybe what I'll do is before, if you don't mind, do you mind if I read Psalm 29, Evan?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I'm going to just pull it up on the computer for everybody as well. So just bear with me while I share my screen. And we'll get the eSword up. And we'll go, can you see? Let's see here. Let me just go back here, make sure you, and I'll just hide our faces so we can see the text a little better. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll go like this, and we'll go to Psalm 29. I'll make it bigger for the viewers in a second here. And so we're speaking about Lebanon. And I'll just make this a little bigger. And all these numbers are strong numbers. That's a pretty short psalm here. Okay, a psalm of David. Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. The voice, here's your first voice. I'll highlight that. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory of thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice, that's the second time you see the word voice, of the Lord is powerful. The third time you see the word voice. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The fourth time you see voice, the voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. Let me read it properly. Yeah. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. So I'll highlight that. Cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon. There it is again. And Siron, like a young unicorn. The voice of the Lord, there's your voice again, the fifth time we see voice. I'll highlight that. Divideth the flames of fire. The sixth time we see it. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. The Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. The next time we see it, the voice of the Lord maketh the hinds to cave and discovereth the forest, and in his temple. That's a word worth highlighting. Doth everyone speak of his glory? The Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 references of voice, the 7 voices of the Lord. And that kind of ties to Revelation 10. I forget how it's worded. The 7 thunders, yeah. The 7 thunders are the 7 voices. So in Revelation 10:4, let's go there. Revelation 10:4. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, see, we just highlighted the 7 voices in Psalm 29. I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which are the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. So when we go to Psalm 29, we see the 7 voices could, in fact, be the 7 thunders in Revelation 10, and it's talking about the cedars of Lebanon. So isn't that neat? And so also what we have here too, in First Kings, chapters 4, 5, 6, that kind of thing, we have the cedars of Lebanon used to build the temple. Solomon uses the wood from Lebanon to build the temple. And so if we go to, let's see if we can find some verses here. It looks like 1 Kings 43. So let's go there. 1 Kings 4, verse 33. And he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon. So there's your Lebanon tree, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of the beasts and of the fowl and of the creeping things. And 1 Kings 5:6 seems to be another one. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, right there, and my servants shall be with thy servants. And unto thee I will give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. And we had that in 1 Kings 5:9, 1 Kings 5:14, lots of Lebanon references. 1 Kings 7:2, and he, I'll pull it up on the screen here. Here it is. He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. The length of thereof was 100 cubits. So it's in the end of 1 Kings chapter 6 that we can find out that it took 7.5 years to build the temple of the Lord, Solomon's temple. It's all in 1 Kings 7 or 6, I should say. And they're using cedar trees from Lebanon to build all this. And here we have an earthquake in Lebanon, New Jersey, and it says that in Revelation 3, the Church of Philadelphia will make them pillars in the temple of our God. And there's another verse in Proverbs. I think it's maybe people can help it out in the chat. Where is it in Proverbs where he pillars of something about pillars and building the temple in Proverbs? But we've been talking about the temple a lot in our Bible study, and how everything about Jesus points to the temple, and there's going to be a heavenly model and an earthly thing going on at the same time. And this is really interesting that it took Solomon 7.5 years to build the temple, and we are expecting, at least most of us are expecting, a 7-year tribulation, and we expect to be up in the heavenly temple, right? This is where I'm tying all this Lebanon location on with kind of biblical narratives here. We're expecting to be in the heavenly temple for 7 years, or maybe even 7.5 years, depending on how this all flows, right? With the wiggle room before and after this tribulation. We've got an earthquake in Lebanon, which is very uncommon. And so I'm just talking out loud here. What do you think about that stuff, or what else do you have to share on this earthquake stuff, Evan? I know you got lots of notes.
The other two cities that I wanted to mention was Polga and Paradise. And if you look up the Hebrew word meaning for the word Polga, means flea or insect. My mind went right to cicadas. I don't know about you, but and then the other town's name is Paradise. And of course, you look up the biblical meaning for paradise, it figuratively to the celestial dwelling of the righteous in the Garden of Eden.
Where is Paradise? Is it in New Jersey area?
Which one was that in? I'd have to go back to my pictures that I sent you.
Oh, okay.
I gotta switch off 1 second here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Paradise is,
and I can pull up my map as well here. Could be paradise. There's a paradise in, looks like Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, that looks pretty close to where that earthquake would have happened. Paradise, Pennsylvania. Is that what you're looking at?
No, it's in California.
Oh,
the one in California.
What town was it? The earthquake in California. I know that earthquakes in the West are more common in that area, California. But what was the city that it was in? There's a 4.8. Nick says Belden, California. Is that right, Belden?
Is the actual name of it.
Belden, California is where that 4.8 was?
Yeah. I didn't look that word up, so that's one I did not look up. I just thought it was too coincidental that both of them had Chester at the very top right-hand corner in both. There's Chester right above these earthquakes, and I thought, why is that so coincidental?
Oh, I see the Chester. Yeah, that's right, just north of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Both of them have a town named Chester just to the north of them. And again, Chester meaning in camp, fortress, or camp of soldiers. What's the meaning on that? 1 second. Let me look one more thing here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some images of some tectonic plates here. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Okay, let me see if I can share that image here. So, you still with us, Seven?
1 second. I'm coming right back to you.
Yeah, no problem. I've got this other image here. Don't know if I can make that bigger, but it doesn't look like I can. Let me see if I can make it bigger this way. But here's some tectonic plates, and let's see.
Well, the USGS, from what they were saying this morning about New York is not prepared for anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
They've got all of the subways right now are being suspended for a while. Anything underground for transportation is being suspended until it can all be checked by emergency management. So they've got all that suspended, and then there's 2 major airports that they just stopped flights from coming in on. There were several others in that area that they had went ahead and suspended flights or delayed flights from coming in or going out until they could check for cracks and things like that in the runways. Just wanted to make sure there was no damage where the planes were going to be coming down. And it was a mess when I just saw it on the news a few minutes ago. They got all these planes that were trying to come in, and now they're all just backed up there, waiting to come down.
Yeah, lots of air traffic issues.
Yeah, they're just not prepared for stuff like this. Their codes, they do not build their buildings to sustain massive earthquakes. California, they're coded for all that. They had to set that up because they have them all the time. It's so frequent out there that they're more prone to building things to withstand it, where New York is not. And that's what they were telling everybody in New York and New Jersey, that if you live in either one of these big cities where the high rises are, they were showing that some houses actually had cracks in the walls where their walls had split or cracked. And they're telling the people in these buildings now that if you hear any crackling or anything, just get out of the buildings and call emergency management, and they'll just come assess the buildings. So they were not prepared for it, an earthquake that size. And it was only a 4.8,
Yeah. So if an earthquake happens around 7.0 or something like that or higher in New York, what do you think, Evan?
I think it would most likely be catastrophic for them.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it would be catastrophic. And from what she was saying from the USGS, she said the same thing, because the plates that are under California, those are soft plates. They move all the time, so they're used to that movement. Where under New York, those plates don't move, but rarely, once every 100, every 200 years, do they have a major shift in those plates. And that's what she was saying is that they're much harder, denser rock. Those plates, they're more prone to pop instead of just give way and move. So you have major breakage when that happens. You have a lot of shifting, and it's just a much more intense earthquake. So yeah, I think if they get hit by something bigger than a 5, I think they're going to be in serious trouble. And from the looks of it, I mean, it looks like it's a possibility. You've been watching any of the earthquakes on this coast of the United States, the east side, they're becoming more frequent, and they're becoming more intense.
Yeah, so Michael was sharing with me about half an hour ago, and here's a picture of the tectonic plates. You're on a cell phone, you might not be able to see this image that great, but I can make it a little bit bigger. That's not going to make a difference. But anyway, he was just showing me the movement from the Japan area over to the U.S. and how he was speculating that based on the movement of the earthquakes and the fact that New York got an earthquake, he's suspecting that it might bring a higher possibility of an earthquake in the New Madrid area. Yep. Because the energy would have to come back to the West Coast, kind of like through Mexico area. Actually, he was kind of suggesting that it would probably come back through the line of the eclipse, so to speak. But he was just speculating, of course. So
that whole Madrid fault line.
Yeah. And so if that Madrid fault line were to go off, and if it was to be higher than a Well, as we all know, like a 6 or something like that, it would be really catastrophic because, as you said, the structures have not been built to code to withstand anything that high.
Yep.
But isn't it interesting that, again, the Statue of Liberty gets struck by lightning? What was that, 2 days ago? Was it Wednesday? Was it Thursday? Was it
I think it was Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay,
Tuesday.
around April 1st or so?
Second,
April
wasn't it?
2nd. And then we have, Israel responding, or not, sorry, Israel doing an airstrike. Oh,
In
that was on
Damascus.
April 1st on Damascus. What do you think about all that?
Well, they were trying to hit an ambassador, an Iranian ambassador at the embassy, is what they said originally was their original target. What they ended up hitting was 2 generals from the IRGC. And I guess they took out a few of the commanders as well. So they hit some pretty big guys. Reese went on yesterday. What do they call him? The Butcher of Baghdad or something? I forget what it is, but he's their new president. And he said yesterday that there will be an absolute and total response. And he said the whole world will see it. So what is he planning and how big is it going to be? I don't know.
Who's Regi or whoever you said there?
I am Reese, however you pronounce his name. He's the new president of Iran.
Uh-huh.
He's they call him the Butcher of Baghdad, I think, or something. He's known for killing like 6,000 people. Him, he ordered the kill on all these people,
So
and
he's a
he ended
wild
up
man.
becoming. Oh yeah, and now he's the president. As of a year or 2 years ago, Iran made him their president.
And how long will he be president? How long will this wild guy be president?
That's a good call. Look at Putin. How long's he been in power? I mean, he ain't never coming out. Doesn't look
Mm.
like it. He's been in there what, about 20 years now.
How's Russia doing with all this stuff? What's their movement, Evan?
Russia. The only thing I know about Russia is they got hit interiorly, which they weren't expecting to happen. They didn't think it would be as bad as it was. And then they, of course, tracked it back and found out that Ukraine's been using U.S. weapons. So that didn't make him very happy at all, knowing that they're being attacked with our own stuff. But they're buying weapons and drones from Iran. That's what they're using on the Ukrainian people. So, I mean, both parties are doing the same thing. They're both being outfitted from other countries with money and weapons. Everybody seems to just want to fund this war instead of just letting it play itself out, letting it end. This is a war that should have ended, could have ended within a matter of a month or two, but because of what everybody's done in supplying them with weapons and money, I mean, the Ukraine can continue to defend itself. In other words, the Ukraine would have fallen a long time. It would have never have stood this long. So
Where do you
I don't
see
know
this
how much
whole
longer.
where do you see this whole war thing going in the next little while in Israel?
Well, in Israel, my concern is with what Biden had done and what they did in the UN. When the UN took their vote for that ceasefire, all the nations
Yeah, they
basically said
abstained.
yes.
Yeah.
They were okay with it, but only America abstained. They didn't say no; they abstained, which means they're just standing back and staying out of it. And we can't do that. If America doesn't support Israel, if we're going to turn our back on Israel, then that really does put us in that prophecy of Israel being surrounded by all nations in the last days. And we're over there. We've got our military over there. We've got a couple of aircraft carriers, destroyers, so we're already over there if they decide that they want to do something. If America wants to do something against Israel, they did threaten them. They were threatened to stop. They gave them a 30-day notice, basically, to put an end to the stuff that's going on in Gaza with Hamas. And as soon as they did that, Israel bombed Damascus. Netanyahu came on and said, "We're not going to let anybody dictate to us how we're going to do this. We are going to protect ourselves regardless." So I think we're looking at that biblical war that everybody has suspected would happen at some point. They will be surrounded on all sides by all nations. Everyone will get fed up and they'll get tired of what they're doing. And so, yeah, I don't look for that. I mean, I think that right there is what's going to bring the Antichrist in, to be honest with you. I think that war over there will get so bad that they will need somebody to be able to bring peace. And that guy that will bring that peace to Israel after all this is, once this escalates even further, that's going to be our AC. That's what I think.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting because I think that the Islamic faith is a really big pivotal thing for end times events, and everybody's anti-Israel. It'll be really interesting to see how this all goes. It'll be interesting to see how the U.S. responds. It'll be interesting. There's so many things that we can be looking at right now. It's like hard to point at one thing.
Well, I'm
And
definitely going to keep my eyes on Israel. I was just watching a rabbi who was talking about, he's friends with a bunch of people at the Temple Institute, and he was saying that they're not going to sacrifice the red heifer at Passover. He said there's too much going on right now. He said if they did that, it would just cause escalation. So he said the Temple Institute is not planning on sacrificing that red heifer at Passover.
This coming Passover, April?
Yep. 22nd through the 30th or whatever it is, 29th, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's saying that they're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're worried that it will create more problems. And he said if they did do it, they would do it in secret. It would not be done for the whole world to see. We wouldn't know until after it had already been done anyway. That's what he said.
Okay. All right. This just in from Michael. So he just made this map. He sent it to me on Discord here. This is the guy that was talking to me about the tectonic plates earlier. And so there was another earthquake down in Mexico there, 4.8 or 4.8 to a 5, somewhere in that range. So a very, very similar earthquake to the one on the west coast and on the east coast, forms a triangle. And man, the plot thickens here. It looks like an upside down Aleph. If you also if you use the path of the eclipse, you can create another line. It almost looks like a Duet in a way, like really interesting. But he says that the center point of these three eclipses is Dallas, Texas, which is in the totality of the eclipse that is coming. All right. So the midpoint of the triangle is Dallas, Texas, according to Michael here, and also in the totality of the eclipse. And he says that this eclipse in Mexico happened 4 hours before the New Jersey one. So that is really neat. What do you think of that, Evan?
Well, I wasn't looking at the one down that far only because it wasn't inside of our nation, but it is part of the continent. So maybe we should be looking at that one as well. I can take a look at the name of the cities and stuff around there later on and just see what those names are. I'm kind of curious as to the meanings. I'm thinking he's trying to tell us something.
Yeah. I'll ask Michael, what city was it?
So
I mean, the content, it's El Parmicto. El Parmicto.
El Parmicto?
El Parmicto. So maybe I can get the map on instead here. El Parmicto. Let's see here. Parmicto. El Parmicto.
Hebrew means might, strength, or power.
Did you just say it means strength and power?
Means might, strength, or power.
Really?
Yeah.
El Parmicto means might, strength, and power?
Yeah.
El
in Hebrew.
Parmicto. It's not coming up here. But it's somewhere in that lower Mexican area here. Might, strength, and power. And a big triangle. The Duet was in the shape of a triangle. Jesus says, "I'm the door." Parmasito. El Parmasito. Parmasito. Oh, maybe I spelled it wrong. Okay, we got some better results here.
Yeah, it puts a par in front of it when you try to do it just as Micto. It automatically puts the par in front of it. But that's what it says. It says it means might or strength.
Hmm. Oh, there's an L, yeah. Palmarcito. Palmarcito, yeah. El Palmarcito. And it says a 5.0. So very, very, very similar
Yeah, it's
size
really
earthquake.
cool.
Wow.
Well, that's what I have on all of this. I've been trying to watch more of what's going on in Israel today to see if they've had any new shelling or anything. I know there was some yesterday, but it wasn't anything major. And that was about the time that Raisi came on yesterday and said that they would retaliate one way or another, and that everybody would know it. So
So
I look for Iran.
you think there'll be an Iranian response this weekend?
I don't know if it'll be Iranian. I look for it to be Hezbollah. Again, Hezbollah's got, they say they have like 150,000 missiles pointed at Israel. And they've been just waiting for an excuse to launch all those missiles. I think if they were going to do something, I think they would wait until it was a holy day, a feast or something, which would be Passover coming up, before they would make any kind of a response. It seems like they like to do that to either interfere with their feast days or to completely shut their feast days down. So if they are going to respond, I would look for them to do it right around Passover, sometime during Passover.
Oh, I just saw a comment saying, go read Song of Solomon from Sam B. In the comments there. He says, read Song of Solomon 4:8. I think that's a good idea. I will pull it up on the screen. That's really cool. Okay, show this. And come with me from Lebanon. Nice, Sam. Yeah, that's good. Come with me from Lebanon. My spouse with me from Lebanon. And look from the top of Amana, from the top of Shinir and Hermon, from the lion's den, from the mountains of the leopards. I'll read a few more verses because why not? Thou hast ravished my heart, my sister, my spouse. Thou hast ravished my heart with one of thine eyes, with one chain of thy neck. How fair is thy love, my sister, my spouse. How much better is thy love than wine, and the smell of thine ointment than all thy spices. Yeah, Song of Solomon's 4:8. I'll read it again. Come with me from Lebanon. Oh, man, and the Strong's number is 4480 right here. Whoa. That's neat, too. 448, April 8th. That's neat.
Something about that day. It is just going to be, there's so much going on right now, and a lot surrounding that day. You got NASA launching 3 rockets into this solar eclipse for whatever reason, makes no sense. You got National Guard being called out in at least 3 or 4 states across the United States for this, which just seems crazy, a little extreme to me. They've called out nuclear teams for 2 states. Why? I don't know why. Why do you need NEST for a solar eclipse?
Yeah, that Song of Solomon.
A lot of weird stuff going on with this whole thing,
Yeah, the APEP rockets. I did a video on that. But here, I'll read this verse first. This verse first. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord thy righteous judge shall give me at the day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. So that's 2 Timothy 4:8. Song of Solomon 4:8 is the Lebanon stuff. Ruth 4:8 is when there was sort of like, it was almost like the moment of marriage. Let me just try and find it here. Ruth and 4 and 8. Therefore the kingsman said to Boaz, buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. And this was pretty much the moment when where Boaz was permitted to marry Ruth. and be her kinsman redeemer. But yeah, the APEP thing. Here, I'll hide this. Sending up 3 rockets, and APEP is translated to Apophis, which is like an Egyptian god. What's up
It's
with
also the
that?
name of a comet that's coming. Apophis.
Yes, there's an asteroid named Apophis that is beside that. Here, we can pull that up too. Here, I'll take off some of these. There's too many screens now I'm sharing in the background here, so I'll take them all off here.
Oh, and CERN. And CERN is firing up on the 8th as well, looking for ghost particles. Little g
Sure.
God particles. Not big G God, little g God particles.
Right, yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we can sit here for a while, can't we, on what's going on here. Yeah, let's
It's an interesting day. I mean, it just is signifying something. I mean, I think that everybody needs to, I think it's our wake up call is what I think. I think this might be our final wake up call. If it's anything like Jonah going into Nineveh, we got at best 40 days. Maybe this is it. This is our last wake up call right here. This is our last sign to repent, which I don't see America doing that. I don't see America's going to change.
No, she
It's
gone.
close.
Stick a fork in her, she don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
God's on a time clock, and we're just at the end. We're just,
Yep.
we're just at the end, and enough's enough. And so there's no revivals or anything like that happening.
No, there's no more time for that.
Yeah.
I think our time is very, very, very short. At best, 2 years, and that's stretching it.
I agree. I think we're in that ballpark of we're just there, So
yeah, we are. We're right there.
Here's the Apophis asteroid right beside this eclipse in Cetus.
Yeah.
And so they're naming these 3 rockets that they're sending up APEP, which is translated to Apophis, which is a Egyptian god of, I think it is it destruction or darkness or something like that. It's like an Egyptian god of, it's a snake, and
Darkness, I think it was.
yeah, and or one of the two. And it's kind of the enemy of the Egyptian god Ra. Ra is the god of light, and Apophis is the god of, like, darkness and chaos and destruction and that kind of thing. And so they're sending up these 3 rockets. And someone had mentioned to me too that that story of Joshua. And
okay. I looked that up, and it says Apophis. It's the Lord of Chaos was seen as a giant snake or serpent, leading to such titles as Serpent from the Nile and Evil Dragon.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So this Egyptian god is sort of always in conflict with Ra, trying to devour Ra and take away the light, and the god of the underworld apparently, and crazy things like that. Why in the world would NASA name it that, APEP? Like,
That's a good question.
But anyway, there's Apophis right beside this eclipse.
And then you got all these elites all around the planet that are buying up these properties and building underground bunkers. Why? What do they know that the rest of the population doesn't know? Yeah.
And the symbol for NASA is like it's got the 2 red lines.
Yeah,
Looks like
it's
a
snake
mouth. Like it's probably like maybe they follow this APEP more than we realize. This Apophis snake god, and it looks like the path of the 2 eclipses.
Yeah.
The 17 and 23 eclipse.
Wow. No, I think we're running out of time here. Was talking to some family members earlier today about all of this, and of course, my family all thinks I'm the radical Christian in the family. I'm a little crazy. They seem to think anyway. I told them, I said, you can think what you want, but in all honesty, I'm comfortable with it because I have a community of of people that are watching the same things that I'm watching. We're all seeing the same thing. I'm just trying to tell you what I'm seeing. And then, of course, you get that, well, you're getting too carried away. They're just fear mongering, and you hear all this stuff. And I'm trying to tell them it's not. That's not what this is, guys. Read your Bible, look at the end times, what it says is going to happen in these last days. Start going through all of that, and you can see that it's clearly the last days. It's never been like this. It's never been like this, ever. And America is just so far gone at this point. I don't see it coming back from this. Not to mention they've let all these new people come into the country, and it's literally flooding. You can't take a space that is only made for so much water and pour more water into it and not expect it to overflow.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Our economy is going to bust. Everything is going to collapse over this. You brought in 10 million more people, and you brought them in so fast, nobody's vetted. And then you got all these people that are trying to find jobs and everything. They were just saying on the news that Tyson, I might ruin something for some people, but Tyson is a great product, or at least I always thought it was, for chicken products. Well, come to find out, they've been hiring immigrants. They fired all their American employees, have been hiring immigrants and using immigrants for lower wage employees. I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to start boycotting Tyson now because of, I don't know. It makes you wonder if they're not trying to kill off our food chain anyway. With everything that's going on, the 3 bridge collapses within 3 days of each other. It wasn't just one bridge. There were 3 bridges in our country that went down, and are now unusable. And those bridges, all 3 of those bridges, were used in some way or another for shipping.
Mm-hmm.
It's something going on there. We had all the train derailments. Was it last year?
Mm-hmm.
With the train derailments, and now this year it's the shipping. What's it going to be next year? Trucking industry, diesel fuel. To make it that far, it seems like they're just trying to shut down the economy in America. Is what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to bring up one more thing because we were talking about NASA for a second, and on the screen, if you look at the Hebrew word H5377, that's nasha. That's a noon, a shin, and an aleph, and that means essentially it means to deceive or to lead astray. So a primitive root to lead astray, that is to delude or morally to seduce, beguile, deceive, greatly, yes, utterly. So nasha in Hebrew, noon, shin, aleph, means essentially to deceive.
Deceive or beguile.
The value of that would be, let's see here, 351 in Hebrew. Noon being 50, shin being 300, and aleph being a 1, 351. Nasha, deceive. Mm-hmm. Whew, okay.
Yeah, and so you got all this going on the same day. NASA's doing their thing, CERN's doing their thing. You got the militaries coming into place; they're all going to be set up. You got nest groups that are going to be set up for some type of. I don't know. I don't understand that at all. Why you need nest? What is the point in having a nuclear emergency teams in place? Just doesn't make any sense why you would do that. Are they really expecting? Maybe they're expecting chaos, riots. I don't know. I hope not. I hope that that's not what happens. Because I know there's going to be large gatherings across the country. I hope pray that everybody is able to just maintain themselves and behave. It's only a 1-day thing. It'll be over in what? Less than 10 minutes for the most part, 30 minutes. In some places it'll be 4 minutes. Some places is 3 minutes. It's an awful lot of hoopla for something that doesn't last very long.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that there would be a backdoor attack on the U.S. before they go crazy on Israel, Or do you think they'd go crazy on Israel first and U.S. would just kind of wipe their hands? Like, how do you think that would all play out?
I think when it comes to Israel, I think at some point America is going to completely turn its back on them, and we're just not going to help them. I
Mhm.
don't look for us to get involved into trying to annihilate them, but I mean, it does say in the scripture that all nations will come against Israel in the last days. It says all nations. It doesn't say some. Doesn't say most. It says all nations. So at some point, yeah, I think America is going to completely turn its back on Israel. Right now, at the forefront of the tribulation, I don't look for them to do that, start any kind of war with them or go to war with them. But I think that's going to happen. It's written to happen. So, and God's going to be their only defense at that point. Um, yeah, yeah, I think America's going to turn its back completely on Israel, and they're just not going to help them, and let whatever happens is going to happen. And you can't blame Israel for defending themselves. They're such a small nation. They're not much bigger than Florida. You know, when you look at them as a nation, it's just such a small nation. Um, they have to do what they're doing. If they don't, they could literally just be run right over. You know, you've got all these enemy nations surrounding them now. If any of those nations, if all of those nations decided at one time to roll over them, you would think that I can see how they could get it in their minds that it would be easy for them to just destroy Israel. Again, it's a small nation. It seems like it would be something that would be easy to do. But you got to remember that they've got God on their side. They still have God on their side. They might not believe, not all of them might not believe in Christ. You know, they might not be following Jesus, but they've still got God on their side. They're still his chosen people. And it's clearly written in the scripture at some point that he will be their most major defense. He will defend them.
Yeah, he basically needs everybody to take their hands away from Israel so he can do his, so he can show himself really at the end times and everything, right?
Right. That's exactly right. You don't want any other nations defending them at that point. It's just like we've been reading in all of our studies. You go through back any of the studies through Exodus, through Samuel, you look at these studies, and God always takes like this finite, minuscule, just a minimal amount of whatever, throws it against a massive army and destroys it. And that's just God. And he does that over and over again throughout scripture to show his power, his might, his strength, right? One of the words that we just looked up, meaning, might and strength. But that's what he does. He'll take just something small. It's like David and Goliath. He took something small, destroyed something large, you know, and he does that all the time. Why would he not, in the very last days, show his might by saving such a tiny little sliver of a country or a nation in the last days? It's just that would be so God, you know?
And he doesn't change. Um,
No,
right in the story of in Judges, I believe, when he brought the army down to 300 guys. He's like, "Oh, you got too many. Keep on dwindling it down." And it was based on how they drank the water from the river. And he
yeah,
brought it down to 300, and he used the 300 men to conquer the enemy, and used David, a shepherd boy, to defeat Goliath, and on it
mhm.
goes. You know.
And on it goes. David would march towards certain battles with, he'd have 6,000 men, and he would say, no, 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 you leave 2,000 of them behind, only take four, whatever. No, 600 men, take 400 with you, leave the other 200 behind, and then goes and destroys 10,000 people with 400 guys. When he had 600 guys, he could have taken. He ended up leaving 200 behind, take 400. Why? Because that's the way God does it. It's just the way he works. Take something small that you would almost think is meaningless and turning it into something major for himself, you know? And he does that. He does that all the time. And I've seen that a lot in my own life where he's done that for me. So, yeah, I think we're getting really close here. I think we should be getting raptured out of here before all this really kicks off and gets crazy. But if if Iran retaliates against Israel with a lot of missile strikes, that in itself could invoke a major war. Right now, Israel's doing everything it can to try to hold on its own. But at some point, you would think that they would have to call for reinforcements or something. I mean, they're surrounded by their enemies. So, and I don't know of very many. I mean, NATO would probably help them for a while, but even they're kind of getting tired of all of this. You know, they want it all to end as well.
Yeah, I was watching a news network this morning, and they were just saying that Israel, if I'm getting my facts straight here, there's some sort of a rule that in Israel that every 18-year-old has to join the army for a few years or a year. I don't know how long, but
Yep.
there is a way to get exempt, and to get exempt is if you were to study the Torah and potentially be a religious leader. And so a long time ago, there was only a few people that signed up for that, but now they have got an issue where they got 70,000 people that are exempt from joining the military because they're studying the Torah. So apparently they're really short on military
Aid.
personnel, which is actually more fitting to this story of God anyway, doing anything with any amount of people. You know, do you know
Yeah,
much about
well,
that?
that's God. That's how He works. He likes to take the minuscule and turn it into something massive. It's just the way He works. You know, He can take the bad and turn it into good. And He's done it over and over again. And you read the Scripture, and you can see that pattern in Him. He just repeats that pattern so many times. You know, it's like putting everybody on the ark. There's 8 people. How many people were on the planet at that time? Destroyed the planet, and those 8 people, and look how many are here now. So you just take something small and seems almost meaningless at some point. Yeah, it's amazing what He's done, what He can do. And I look for Him to do it all over again with Israel. I really do. He's going to be that one tiny little nation getting beat up by everybody, and then He's going to fight the battle, that last battle. We're not going to be here for that. We won't be here for that battle. We'll be long gone before that ever takes place.
Tracy writes, did you all hear about the meteor shower in Iran? I think there was a meteor shower in was it Iran or was it Israel? And wasn't there an earthquake in Iran too or something?
Yeah, there is. I sent you a picture of that. There was also one I wanted to tell you in Taiwan. Was it yesterday or day before yesterday? It was a 7.2. It was devastating. They're digging people out of the rubble over there.
Oh.
How many major earthquakes are we expected to see in the last days? Do you remember what it was? There's like so many of them that are mentioned in the Bible, I believe.
It certainly says that there'll be lots of earthquakes. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing major earthquakes. I mean, they're popping off all over the place. Yeah, Taiwan got hit a day or 2 days ago. They got hit by a major earthquake. They've been digging people out.
It looks like there was somebody just messaging me here. 4 earthquakes in Iran and meteorites over Iran. Yeah.
So, my personal opinion is God's trying to tell us something. He's trying to wake us up.
Well, you know what? If this eclipse really is marking, the beginning of God's calendar for this year, my goodness, it's coming in hot, isn't it?
It is. It is. What's the last day? Is the last day? Is it the 8th and the first day is the 9th?
If you think of if you wait for the new moon, I guess you'd have to wait for the 9th to be the first day. But some people say that the first day is actually just when it's totally black.
Totally black with the new moon.
Either way, April 8th or 9th, give or take.
I was going to send you something too while I've got your ear. I wanted to send you something. Take a look at Stellarium on June 6th, 6/6 at 6.
Okay.
Just
And before I do that, so those earthquakes that I showed you earlier in the shape of a V,
yes,
Pisces has the shape of a V as well.
That's right. Yes.
So there's that. So Michael just reminded me of that. Thank you, Michael. And also, reminder, Ramadan ends around the 8th, 9th of April.
Yes, it does.
That's an interesting thing. And okay. And so you wanted me to check out Stellarium and show that?
Well, no, there was just something I wanted you to look at. You don't have to do it right now, but when you get some time, take a look at June 6th around 6 a.m. at where everything's at. And
Okay.
I think you'll find that it's interesting that where it's all sitting at.
Okay.
It
Let me
all
just.
groups up in one place.
Okay, so I got Stellarium up. Is there anything in particular you wanted me to
Yeah,
see?
it's June 6th at 6 a.m. in the morning. And then if you zoom in on, I think it's Taurus.
Okay. Yep.
It's all in Taurus. Everything's moving into Taurus. All of it is going to move into Taurus on the 6th.
Okay. Yeah.
And it
Sun.
all leaves. And if you look where the sun is, it's right between the horns.
Yeah.
So can we get raptured before that and that be the day the Antichrist gets revealed? 666.
Oh, okay. That's why you're looking at 6. Okay.
Now you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Could we get raptured and then 40 days later?
You know, the interesting thing is we got Apophis right beside the sun here in the horns.
In the horns. Wow. See, I didn't even see that.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about what you're saying here is the raw God, doesn't the raw God have the sun above his head, like in between
Yes,
horns or something like that?
he does.
And the Apophis is his counter, God or whatever you want to say it, the Egyptian God. So they're both between the bull's horns on 6/6,
Yeah,
2024.
that's what I wanted to show you. Everything's going to move into Taurus. It seems like it's all there, and then you got the sun right in the horns. And I mean that's 666. So I don't know.
Apophis sort of follows the sun, actually. Huh.
Yeah, there was some talk about a while back about it passing through our solar system or something and creating some kind of a collision, but I don't think they even talk about that anymore. I don't think it's possible because it's actually quite a distance away, believe it or not. Anyway, I just thought, maybe if we get raptured out of here around the 8th or Passover, 666 is looking really good for the Antichrist to show up on the scene. As far as the stars go, what it's looking like in the heavens. And we could be wrong. I mean, I've looked at that stuff a lot when it comes to whether it would be in the bull or, Capricorn. Yeah.
They kind of almost come into alignment in 25 there, really close. But I'm just looking at Apophis and how it moves with the sun there. Yeah, they come real close. They come really close after this eclipse,
Yes.
especially in June.
Yep.
Right around the bullhorn, they come super close. Taurus, it's not too far-fetched to say Taurus represents, tribulation.
Yeah. Well, I always look at it as Baal.
Right. Right.
All the Baal worshippers. And the sun's going to be between the horns, so the Baal worshippers on that day are going to be going bananas.
Right.
And it's 666. That's the biggest part of it. It's 666. 24, if you add it together, is 6. So you got 666.
And Jupiter's right in Taurus. I think Jupiter has about an 8-year cycle, give or take, to go through all the constellations. And Jupiter's right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And so is this a new moon on the 6/6? Let's see here. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. It's another new moon.
Yeah, that's a new moon there. Is
So
that the
anyway, I was going
third
to send
month?
you that last night. I wanted to show you that. I thought that if we get raptured sometime here after the 8th, before summer, then that's possibly a good day for that day right there to be the day that the Antichrist reveals himself. It would be a good day for a revealing with the way it's set up in the sky. So I don't know, just something to think about.
Well, this kind of reminds me of Exodus 19, Israel at Mount Sinai. Exodus 19, verse 1. In the third month, after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. So the third month. So this, if Passover is late April, so April 8th would be Nisan 1, more or less. May 8th would be Nisan 2, more or less. June 8th would be the first day of the third month. So, and then what do in the wilderness? They worship a golden cow a couple chapters after Exodus 19.
Right.
But it's mentioning in the third month after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt. So that's kind of a nice little tie in there.
So I just thought with everything we've been looking at, because we're watching for this eclipse, looking where everything's at, we're going through looking where the Yeshua is at, where the child is at. I didn't even think to look to see where Apophis was at. But and I haven't looked for the 6th yet. I just happened to see that. I was scrolling through last night, just running through the stars. I clicked on the sun and was running through the stars and saw it all come together inside of Taurus. And I thought, man, that's right on 6/6. I mean, that would be 24 makes 6, so that's 666. That'd make a great day for the Antichrist to reveal himself. It seemed like it would just be the perfect day, which is a shame, in all honesty. But we all know it's coming at some point.
Well, I think the fact again that we've got the West Coast and the East Coast, we got an earthquake 4.8 on the West Coast, we got a 4.8 on the East Coast, we got another earthquake in Mexico that was about a 5, a few hours before the New Jersey one, forming the shape of a triangle, which is really the shape of Pisces. And actually, if you flip the Great Lakes image upside down, it also kind of looks like Pisces as well. A brother named Matthew had showed me that before. Okay. And that's another neat thing. And there's a Pisces island where this eclipse is going through when it's going over the Great Lakes, somewhere in that area. And so that's a very interesting thing. I'm certainly looking at I lost my train of thought here, but
do we know the time that it's going to cross Rapture, Indiana?
For some reason, I'm thinking 153. Why am I thinking 153? Somebody might have mentioned
fish. 153 that's the 153 fish.
I don't remember what time it's at. Maybe somebody else can type it in. When do you guys think that it's going over Rapture, Indiana? I'm not quite sure.
I was just curious if there's something there to that as well. It's not something that I had looked at. It just hit my, those things you think about.
But it's interesting that we've got this earthquake in Lebanon, and Lebanon is where they got the trees for the temple. And Christy's had all sorts of dreams on Lebanon. Yep. She just hopped in. I don't know if you want to share anything or what.
Yeah, we've been.
Yeah, why don't you share your thoughts, Christy? She was.
We were just talking about the tree a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about that tree discussion and how God had to grow that tree. Knowing what that tree was going to be used for.
Christy had some Lebanon dreams, and go ahead.
Oh no. Okay. Well, it wasn't just one; it was the same dream twice. And so I had a dream. I was at my actual house I lived in at the time. The neighborhood was called Forest Hills, and all of the street names were names of different trees. So there was evergreen and cedar, elm, fir, hickory. And in this dream and in real life, my house number was 1810. And interestingly enough, 1810 in Strong's means suddenly. So in the dream, I am at my house and a sudden flood comes. A sudden 1810 flood comes. And as the waters are rising, I'm kind of like backing up the driveway, and all of the trees on their particular street start to grow up, just a huge forest. And as the waters rise, they all start to fall. I have a video about this on my channel, but other than the Lord and us, trees are the third most mentioned living thing in the Bible. That's kind of a fun fact for you. And trees are also known as people. But anyway, so Cedar Circle was the one in the dream that was the most prominent. So I woke up, just kind of blew it off. Not really blew it off, but sometimes people can take dreams to another level that they don't need to go to, right? So I just kind of sat on it and prayed on it. Well, then like 2 years later, I asked the Lord, okay, was there any dreams that I overlooked? What was, when did I eat a bad piece of pizza too late? And what do you want me to remember? And so I had the exact same dream again, like identical. And we know in the word, when God repeats himself, he's like, pay attention. You know, how many times does he say that? Does he say the same thing? So I had the same dream, exact same dream, exact same house number, same sudden flood, same trees, but there was an emphasis on cedar. So that kind of threw me into the cedars of Lebanon, which is kind of what you guys started talking about today. Just when the cedars of Lebanon fall. And if I'm not mistaken, is it First Kings? I'll probably get this wrong. Is it First Kings 6?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Solomon. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where the cedars are overlaid with gold and the temple's built with the cedars. And so just all this stuff with Lebanon and the cedars falling and I don't know, just that's it. Just was an interesting thing there.
What's the proverb when the pillars are built or whatever? You're really good at that one. Which one is that again?
You mean when wisdom has hewn out her 7 pillars?
Yeah.
It's an early proverb.
Is it?
I want to say like 9 or 6 or something like that. I could be wrong. Maybe someone can help us. I want to say it's a single digit.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm wrong.
There it is. Yeah. Proverbs 9.
Yay. Okay.
So wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars.
And we're made temples in the pillar of the Lord our God. And
like a tree planted next to still waters.
Yeah, and didn't Solomon, he hewn them out, right? He pushed down the pillars and there was destruction that day. So the pillars were hewn out, which is us. We're taken out. Everything crumbles. If you can see that, type in shadow.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like is going to happen to America. It's going to crumble.
That's right.
It's kind of looking that way that it might fall. So I know everybody thinks that electing Donald Trump is going to be their big savior, but I don't put my faith in any man. You know, let God be the truth and every man a liar. I don't trust men. So.
Oh yeah, this is what I'm. Revelation 3:12. He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go out no more. Yeah.
But the 7 is the thing. The 7 churches.
The
7 is the thing. The 7 pillars. Jesus is wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
The word is wisdom. Christ is the word. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of God is accepting his son. So those 7 pillars that are hewn out, I believe, are us.
Yeah.
You know, the lampstands.
Yeah, the lampstands. The churches. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, we were doing a lot of studies on we're in the Exodus and the temple model and everything like that. And we've been talking a lot about how we're going to be kings and priests up in heaven, and so the churches. It says in Revelation 1:6 that we are the priests, and we are also the lampstands, and you got to consecrate the priest for 7 days, and so we got to be up there for some type of a 7. And so,
did you ever talk about Jesus after he resurrected? Those 7 days he was missing. Remember?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you did it. It was your thought.
I don't even remember. Well, he resurrected from the grave, and he was gone for a week, right?
Yeah, and we were just saying because he's the great high priest. Was that just a little hint that he was going? You know.
Yeah. So,
consecrated.
Oh yeah, so he probably went to the heavenly temple to be consecrated for 7 days after he rose from the grave, and then he came back, and Thomas poked his fingers into him, and so Thomas, representing the left behind, I think, and he had to see him to believe him, and so, in Zechariah, they're gonna look on him whom they pierced, at the end of the tribulation, right, and they'll be cut to the heart, so to speak, and but I think that's another reason why I like Passover a lot, which is April for a potential rapture date. I'm a big Passover fan. A lot of the dead raised from their graves on the Passover season, and Jesus, who is our high priest, gets consecrated for 7 days in the heavenly temple, and we are kings and priests who also are going to be consecrated for 7 days or 7 years. And wouldn't it fit the bill to go up during the Passover season? We always speculate every feast season we're on or feast day we're on, but I do like Passover quite a bit.
Yeah, spring for me. Once spring's over, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I've always been a Passover. I always thought that the rapture would happen during Passover. I honestly always thought it would happen on Resurrection Day. I thought, what a perfect day to take everybody home with you, the same day that you came back. You know, Resurrection Day. I always thought it would be the perfect day. But and I always thought Feast of Trumpets would be the perfect day for the second coming, the final second coming. You know, atonement would be at the end of the 1,000 years in the final judgment, or maybe at the end of the 7-year tribulation, it would be on atonement. But I would think Feast of Trumpets would be the full second coming, and I would think at the end of the 1,000-year millennium, because there's going to be a final judgment at that 1,000 years. I would think that would be done in atonement. But what do I know? I don't follow the Jewish feast that well, so I
What I
know
was
of
gonna,
them.
yeah, go ahead, Evan.
But
Sorry.
I know of them, but I don't understand the meanings of all of them completely. You know, and I think that would probably help. It'd probably benefit me to study that stuff. I've wanted to learn the Hebrew language, and I know you picked up that interlinear Bible, and I've actually been considering getting one just for the very reason that you did. Helps you to break things down a little better, get a better understanding of some word meanings.
Yeah, and Christ over coffee with that Hebrew, you just see Jesus coded everywhere, right? In almost every verse. You guys that are there each morning, when we're there, you see it's quite mind blowing.
Yeah, somebody
What?
just
Yeah.
mentioned it.
What?
7
What?
Salems and 7 Ninevehs.
Yeah, lots of Nineveh goes through. Yeah.
And
Michael just sent me.
all of these coincidences. That's why I was saying to you earlier, I just got to be more than just coincidence. All of this, the earthquakes, one on each side, both 4.8s, right? Is that just coincidence that 4.8 is the date that's coming up here in 3 days? Is that just a coincidence? And then when you go to look at the earthquakes themselves, and you see that Chester is at the top of both of those earthquakes, it's in both of them. Is that just coincidence? I don't think so. I think he's trying to tell us something with all of it. You know, maybe this is our last. You guys get ready. You got 3 days. I don't know. I hope that would be nice. I mean, I'd love to go home on the eclipse. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
We Michael just sent me this. So because you were talking about June 6th. So June 6th, if you subtract 40 days, that gets you to Passover. So there's a 40-day gap between Passover and that day that you're talking about with the sun and Apophis in the bull horns there. I thought
yeah.
that was an
See, I
interesting.
wasn't sure. I didn't do the math on it. I just seen it last night. I was going to send it to you. So it is a perfect 40 days to Passover.
Yeah. So from Resurrection Day, give or take, adding 40 days, that gets you to June 6th, which, you know, could arguably be Ascension Day, I guess, depending on how you think of it.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, maybe that is our 40 days then, and that's all we get is that 40-day warning.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know, man. I just know that we are so close right now. You can pretty much taste it. I'm getting excited, and I know it's freaking my family out, some of my friends, because I'm excited about it. You know, they're all like, "Man, don't you understand what's happening? Our country is being flooded with all of these people, and there's a good chance we could end up in war." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." They're like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
So we're going home, man. You have no idea what's coming. So,
I know us Rapture heads kind of run towards the chaos, you know, right now. It's like,
yeah,
this is,
we're
you know,
looking for it. Yeah.
we're looking for. I know we're looking for it.
Yeah, you know, I was just trying to tell my mom earlier, you know, that it's not going to get better. Everybody's, you know, she even made that comment, "Oh, honey, things will get better." And I'm like, "Mom, you don't understand. That's not what's written in the book. It doesn't say, hey, it's going to be peaceful and perfect and paradise on earth at the last days. That is not what it says." And if anybody thinks that, they have not read their Bible, because it clearly tells us that this is going to continue to get worse, more frequent, more intense. Perplexity in all nations, famine everywhere, pestilence. This is not going to get better. It is supposed to get worse. Yes, Israel will find a short moment of peace at some time during the tribulation. The Antichrist is supposed to bring peace for 3.5 years to the Middle East. But in order to bring peace to the Middle East, that means there has to be war in the Middle East. You can't bring peace to a place that doesn't have war.
It's going to be so interesting how this all plays out. Yeah, somebody in the comment section just said the Islamic flag. Yeah, it looks like an eclipse. Yeah, I made a video on that a couple days ago about how, like Dr. Barry passed that along to me. And so it's very interesting how Ramadan ends on the total solar eclipse. And really, when you look at it, the Islamic flag with an honest viewpoint, I know they say it's the moon, but when you look at the
No, it
shape of
does
how
look
it
like
is, it
looks
does
like
look
an
like an
eclipse.
eclipse.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
And the iPad Goat too. You got that the eclipse on Obama's face, and you got the eclipse on behind that guy praying with the beard in the background.
Yep.
I think they took that video down, but
They did. It's gone, I think.
there's another total. I don't know if it's total solar eclipse or just a solar eclipse. That's in October. I think it's October 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, one of those two, and that marks the Feast of Trumpets in the fall. So I think this year is marked. Essentially Nissan 1 and Tishri 1 more or less has an eclipse, a solar eclipse on it. So, okay. Well, I think we'll end it here, Evan.
Okay.
And thanks a lot for coming and chatting and talking. Thank you, everybody, for contributing in the comment section. That's awesome. Stay calm, stay cool. Jesus is coming. If you are not in a relationship, get excited. If you're not in a relationship with Jesus, please do so. Please accept the free gift of salvation that Jesus already did 2,000 years ago on the cross. You cannot enter into the courts without the blood of Christ on you. You cannot enter the tabernacle of meeting, the heavenly tabernacle of meeting, without the blood of Christ. You cannot enter the holy holies without the blood of Christ on your vest. You will die without the blood of Christ. You'll be eternally separated outside of the camp, outside eternally without the blood of Christ. Please do it now. Please accept the free gift of salvation that Jesus did for you nearly 2,000 years ago. And you will be saved. Romans 10:9-13 is my favorite area to reference. Among others, I got other salvation verses in my description box below. Please do it. Please do it. Please do it. The warning is being sent out. And don't wait. Don't wait. If you are watching this video and you're uncomfortable with where the world is going, your discernment is correct. It's not going in the right direction. And so it's time to get out of here. It's time to blow this popsicle stand. So God bless you. And thank you so much, Brother Evan. If anybody wants to reach Brother Evan, he is on the Discord. The Discord is another app where the God a Minute community socializes, hangs out, drinks coffee, talks about the Bible, encourages each other, prays for each other. And we do voice chats all the time. And so there's the link in the live chat there. And the links are always in the description box below underneath any video. Take it easy, guys. One day closer. Go, Jesus, go.